Alright my friends, hello and welcome back to another video. Today what we're going to be going over is a little bit of very light, very mildly spicy street skateboarding drama. We all know about Ricky Glaser. Basically, Ricky is known for doing weird and wonderful tricks in a style that some love and some might not, but this crooked grind is specifically very much up for contention. Now, to set the scene, we need to go back to the start. So, jumping onto the Jenkem Mag page. Now, these guys, basically, they just do a bunch of like skate park promotion, like cool, interesting things like the pedestrians who became immortalized in skate videos. They do interviews of just people at the skate park, and they just do a bunch of random stuff around the whole skate scene in LA specifically. Now, this spot bounty was for one of the longest ledges ever done. So I'm going to warn you up with this one from Chris Hyatt here. This is a kickflip backboard. Let me just turn it down real quick because I'm pretty sure it's ultra loud. So this is just to let you know how big the ledge is. I'll let it play out on its own. Right, so it goes without even saying, the power, the balance, the precision required to hold any slide, let alone grind, for that long is incredible. Now, this guy obviously is absolutely insane, Chris. Like, he's so good at these balance grinds and stuff like that. He also did a back 50. In fact, actually, I think it was a kickflip back 50. Right here, which I won't play this one the whole way. In fact, actually, yes, I will, because it really does hammer home how hard it is to stay balanced on this, even for a 50-50. You've got to keep so much weight on your heels, and the slightest little bit of weight mismanaged is going to shoot you off the side, and going at that speed, there's a reason why he's crouched so low down to manage it. Like, that one there reached its top speed way sooner, and the grind was over a lot quicker. So that sets into the scene the length and sheer magnitude of a ledge like this. Now, Jenkem Mag's competition was for a crooked grind. Basically, whoever can crooked grind the longest down said ledge is going to win $1,000. There are some people that entered it and were very much welcomed, some that weren't so much, one of them being Ricky Glaser. So, first of all, we're going to look at Ricky's first attempt, and then we're going to go from there. So this is his submission right here, 17.6k likes, very respectable. Let's jump in. Okay, so crooked grind obviously is the intention here. However, there's very much some contention with the way the grind was locked in. Like, if you ask me, that looks like a back nose grind. For a nose grind, ideally, I would want like to be balanced. Like, if I was filming a nose grind, I wouldn't count it if the nose was scraping. But for this, because the board spends so much time parallel with the ledge and not off at an angle like a crooked grind should be. Now, there is a lot of argument to say the crooked grind actually has to pinch, as in pinch the corner of the side, which we're going to get into soon. But certain ledges and rails, that isn't as easy to do. But then, can you do a crooked grind on those ledges and rails? First of all, I'm actually just going to Google what counts as a crooked grind real quick. Just for the hell of it, let's see what Google says what a crooked grind actually is. So, a crooked grind on a skateboard is a grind trick where the skater approaches a ledge or rail at a parallel angle and grinds on the front truck with the tail of the board angled away from the obstacle. It's similar to a nose grind, but the tail hangs off the side, creating a crooked or angled look. The trick is often referred to as crook or K grind, and then it just goes on to give you a little bit of a tutorial. Key aspects of a crooked grind. The defining feature is the angled tail, which gives the trick its crooked appearance. Pinch. Some skaters emphasize pinching the wheel on the obstacle for a secure grind. Most of your weight should be on your front foot compressing the front. The first one definitely wasn't, like, he definitely didn't hold it at an angle for the whole thing. The second one is very much up for debate, I would say, whether or not you crook grind Is it pinched or not is a different story. Like, I think, yes, you can do a crook grind without pinching, because we're going to get into that in a moment. Ricky explains it quite well in an upcoming video that he did, like a little response to what people were saying. But first of all, before we get into Ricky's response, let's see what the Jenkem Mag people said about his attempt. So if we jump onto this one right here, basically, they said, spot bounty updates. Over the weekend, 3 skaters attempted the longest crooked grind for $1,000 for the spot bounty. Trevor McClung, Charles Abraham, and Brandon Burley. Gonna run this a couple more days to see if anyone pops up and goes even longer, but for now, feeling like Trevor McClung has the most distance so far. Gonna need some help from you guys. P.S. Not including the one by Ricky Glaser, because that was not a crooked grind. Did he add that in afterwards? Because there was a bunch of comments asking about Ricky's. Like, was that an edited? Oh, no, it wasn't edited. This is a first time post, so they definitely just called him out straight away. Well, I mean, to be fair, I am inclined to agree a little bit, but we're going to get into that in a sec, like I keep saying. Ricky responds with just a, okay, which I think is quite funny. Let's see what the replies are. At least they tagged you, might get you some followers, and that's what it's all about. That's funny. I mean, did you actually think you did, dude? Honestly? Now, how many people that commented under this post could crook, let alone nose grind that far or at all? So good job, Ricky. You can't really say that just because people can't do something doesn't mean they don't have the right to critique it. Like, think about football, basketball commentators. The commentators aren't making the same shots the basketball people are, and yet they still have the right to commentate on it. So let's allow some people to at least have an opinion without saying, oh, you can't do that, so it doesn't count. You know, they're allowed an opinion. If it's not blind hate and it's actual criticism, you're allowed your opinion. So, Wrecking Ball. I'm surprised Ian knows what a crooked grind looks like. He doesn't skate. Talking about the guy doing the judging. Ricky should owe you $1,000 for making you watch that. Let's have a look what people replied. Nope, he owes Ricky. Tight trucks. Can you even do that? People always go to the can you even do that. Add some days and I might get my ass over there and see if I got the distance on a crook from T-Puds, who is like one of the tail slide masters. I think he did that huge back tail or switchback tail around that really long ledge that one time. We all know it. You can start your grind. You can't start your grind 12 foot into the ledge. Well, one thing I will say about Ricky's actually is I think the feet counter seems to be going up quite fast for how fast he's going down it. Like, yeah, it can be very deceptive on the camera angle and like whether or not you're using a 0.5 or a 1 lens or something like that. It can make it look either really fast or really slow. It really doesn't give you an accurate representation of the speed, but I do feel like this is going up a little fast, but I would assume he probably accounted for that, but you know, we don't know. Anyway, so obviously we've just read out the post here. Now, Ricky, we're actually going to watch this video, the 3 that they posted, and compare them to the one that Ricky's done. So let's put the volume on and go. Like, that was crooked the whole way. The tail was hanging over the side of the ledge the whole time, and it spent a good bit of it pinched as well. Next one. Pinched right from the start. Half decent. I feel like the first one was a bunch longer. Pinched right from the start. Kept it angled the whole way so far. Hard to tell how far that was though because of the angle, but it is one hell of a beautiful view. Anyway, so obviously with being called out in this post, Ricky was not happy about that, so he made himself, well, I say he's not happy, I'm pretty sure it's all fun and games, but there was definitely a response, so let's jump onto that. Okay, so this is Ricky's response to the whole situation right here.
All right, guys, I'm not here to convince you that that was a nose grind or that was a crook, but I want to give you a little bit more information. There's 3 different ways to do a crook: on a round rail, on a ledge, and on a square rail. I grew up in the early 2000s. Every park had these thick square rails, and when you would crook on these thick square rails, your whole truck fits over the rail, and then you grind like that. What is more interesting is when the ledge becomes a little bit thicker, you kind of have the choice of like, all right, should I crook with the pinch and have one wheel on the top, or do I go all the way on? This is technically a rail. Even though it's kind of a ledge, it's kind of a rail. Because I could get the whole truck on, it's like, well, you have the option. Do you want to put both wheels over, or do you want to put one wheel on the top? But yeah, it's definitely not that serious. This has been kind of funny for me. In the next slide, I'll give you a little recap of the current holder, my pinched ledge style crook, and then my rail style crook.
Yeah, the first one that he just showed looked 100 million times better than that. Okay, so while that is still a fairly sick grind, but it's a back nose grind. If we go back to the comments of these things real quick right here, and have a look at what other people were saying, we got Dane Burnham. Ricky, I love you, and the tricks you did on that ledge for that long was nuts, but that was an accident. You were trying a crook and did some sloppy unlocked nose pressed nose grind, which was badass. But I grew up with those same square rails and flat bars as you, and definitely still had my crook pinched. I still think you should get monies though. Someone, why should he get the money for not doing it? Everyone gets a participation award. That is a bloody good reply right there. How can you say you didn't do it, but you should still get the money? That is a bit silly. So the legend pulls the UNC card, totally valid. I can resonate. If the trick requires an explanation video with fingerboard demonstrations, maybe that's a sign you should redo said trick. Now that is definitely a very, very good point. Overall, I would say that first pinched one that he showed at the end of that clip was actually really good. The second one, being harsh, is very unsatisfying to watch. And if you have to argue to win the money, you probably shouldn't have the money. Like, if you actually want to walk away the winner and be proud of that win, it needs to be without a shadow of a doubt. Like, for example, if someone's like, oh, I don't know who deserves it, this guy or this guy, then we should have like a sort of redo or like a recount of some kind, because if the winner isn't without a shadow of a doubt, then there's something going wrong there, in my opinion. Anyway, so this is the final post he did on it. Imagine being this petty. At Jenkem Mag unsent will post later so they could pretend they didn't have my clip and fake ask for a few minutes before posting and shitting on me. 10 likes on this post and I'll go back and plow my way to the nose grind the whole ledge. Bounty. Also, I didn't acknowledge the skater who did a 5-0 first. Wow. Receipts, what a bunch of dossers. So Jenkem Mag are actually in a bit of trouble here. Oh wow, the first one was kind of in and out of a nose grind, so it is what it is. Second one looked much more locked for crooks. We'll post later. See what people think, etc., and keep rolling the contest on. Got a couple more days. The second short one, the truck is locked like a ledge crook. Yeah, he isn't wrong there. The long one is locked like a rail. No worries, thanks for running the comp. I love this kind of stuff. Yup, you locked on that one. And then what did they say? Is there more? Oh, wow. Yup, you locked on that one. You did too? Can you resend the one where you are more in crooked grind, not the nose grind one? So they're literally just lying, trying to dig themselves out of this hole right here. Swap bounty updates over the weekend. And then he posted this because that was not a crooked grind. That is a bit of a piss take that they put that on there. You've got to, honestly, you've got to give it to him. That, like this one here, that's actually it, for sure. Whether or not it's the longest specifically, I think is up for debate and is going to require a bit more specific measuring criteria. But overall, I would say that second one very much counts. The first one very much doesn't. But the way that Jenkem Mag have treated this situation is very shady, very sketchy. And it's just like one of them skateboard politics things where they want to please certain people and pick certain sides based on who says what and what. It's just one of them things where it's just like, I think it's just a big miscommunication, and they've definitely thrown some shade and shit on Ricky a little bit here. Undeservedly so, I would say. Definitely up for contention on that first crook grind, but after he posted the second one, I think that deserves its flowers for sure. So with that all being said, yes, this drama was petty, this drama was pointless. It could have been avoided if they would have just acknowledged Ricky's second attempt at the video, but the fact they outed him in their post kind of says a lot about their intentions and who they're trying to please. Anyway, with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.